Hello, our friends in ethnically correct land. We are so happy to be here. It is a gorgeous night in Santa Monica, California. When is it not a gorgeous night here in the Los Angeles area? For those of you that don't have the pleasure of being in this environment, come and visit us. We are great and happy people. Contrary to what you might read about Angelinos, we're actually quite nice natives and non-natives alike. We enjoy world citizens who come to our shores and buy conspicuously on whether it's Rodeo Drive, Long Beach, or wherever you may be. This is your town and my town. Okay, why is everybody laughing?
And this is with no alcohol, by the way.
No, I'm serious. Okay, so all laughing aside, the topic that gathers us today is very much LA driven, and it's those establishments that we as ethnic people find important to living our culture from a food perspective, from an art perspective, from a music perspective. But anyway, that's what we're going to talk about today. And joining me as always is the mistress of discussion, Winter White. How are you, Winter?
I'm great, thank you.
Do you like that name?
I love it.
Oh, perfect.
I love it.
It just came out spontaneously on a previous episode, so we're going to stick to those. And the lady in waiting is Miss Tehu Smythe.
Greetings, darling. Lovely to be here as always.
Excellent. And so, Winter, the reason why we're delving into this topic is because you were reminiscing on an era, an epoch where the Crenshaw District, Leimert Park, however you want to denominate that area, was a central gathering place for the African American community, and it was synonymous with African Americans and a certain kind of community that gathered with rich culture, artistry, etc. So, kick us off with the origin of this topic, please.
So I can just remember going to Leimert Park in my 20s, in my early 20s, and I remember going to a cafe. It was called at the time the Hudson Cafe, and I had gotten my first experience with spoken word. All throughout high school, I was into poetry, Nikki Giovanni, a lot of African-American poets, Langston Hughes, and I go to this cafe. It has since been shut down, and that night on the stage, there were all of these poets and writers who got up and spoke, and it was the first time that I ever felt truly moved in that I could share my thoughts and my poetry with people. And I had not been ignorantly so I had not been exposed to Leimert Park, and the group that I was with was like, oh, this goes on all the time in Leimert Park. I mean, you can come here at any time and we'll find artists playing on the streets, or you might see, some old men in the park playing dominoes, or they might be playing chess or checkers or whatever. And, after, going back, many times after that, I saw a world of books and music and art, and I just was so proud of that because I think that in a lot of times Black businesses, kind of come and go, and this was a area of Black-owned businesses that had been there for years and years and years. This was not just an area of people who, established the hottest new restaurant and it was flanked by a whole bunch of people for just a couple of years. Like, this was family-owned businesses. And lately, with gentrification and the changing of times and, now it's South LA as opposed to South Central LA, those businesses have gone away. And I just started to think, what are some places that, new Angelinos don't really know about, people who come here from Nebraska and all these other places, and they're exposed to Los Angeles. What are the authentic ethnic places that they should go to and really experience before they're gone?
Right. I think that that's so true. And two thoughts respond to your introduction. Number one, I feel like a lot of folks, especially Tehu, as you described in another episode, there is this wall known as the 405 freeway that keeps West Siders sort of insulated from the rest of Los Angeles. It's like you don't want to cross anything east of the 405 because it is a land of the unknown. It's a land of people that might assault you or whatever. There's this constant fear. People are daunted by going eastward of the 405. So number one, a lot of folks have never been to Crenshaw. I remember when the riots broke out in 1992. There were reporters who had never been to Florence and Normandy, and I'm sure there are a lot of people that haven't been to 48th and Crenshaw, which is really close to that little square with the Barbara Morrison Performing Arts Center, et cetera, in the area that you were describing. And I would exhort, and I'm going to use that word very pointedly, I'm going to exhort the listeners of this podcast to, we've already made the offer for you to come with us on a journey if you want to experience ethnic Los Angeles through the prism of Tehu Smythe, Winter White, and Alex Venegas, which is truly a privilege, might I add. But I think you should venture to the Crenshaw Leimert Park area because there's something very unique and special. And the Baldwin Hills Plaza, when I was growing up, was the Crenshaw Mall, has a lot of good restaurants. And I think it's important that we support local businesses. Number two, I think there are amazing places that are going to survive, like Harold and Bells.
Yeah. And
Harold and Bells just went through a multi-million-dollar renovation. They recently opened up maybe about a few months ago, and that is truly a flagship place for the African American community. They serve everything that is good and bad for you at the same time. and you have to go on any given day. They have great happy hours. They have just amazing Sunday brunch. There is something quite unique about Sunday brunch post church service. I think to see people in amazing Sunday best attire and being just grateful for life and for the ability to come together as community, you have to experience that. You have to be in that milieu because it is unique, it is peerless, it is something that reminds you that Los Angeles has a lot of rich vibrancy and that we have to be supportive of it by patronizing those businesses. And so I thank you, Winter, for bringing this topic to our foray because there are unique parcels of Los Angeles that I think from a preservationist perspective, we have to really dedicate some time and money to because this is our Los Angeles. And I know Winter and I are natives, but Tehu, you really have made Los Angeles a second home now for the second time in your life.
Absolutely. And it's one of the things I love about the city, that you have so many different ethnicities and cultures here, and you can really you can go to, for example, let's take mine, you can go to Westwood and just have a nice Persian meal there, or you can go downtown and experience the full flair of the Latino community. There's so many places and things to experience in Los Angeles, and it's such a shame that many they don't know where it is, or more importantly, they're not interested. We live in a very globalized world, but we also live in a very diverse community. And it's really, the more you kind of intermingle, the more kind of flavorful and interesting your experiences will be with different communities. And I just think that we should all kind of actively go and pursue something that we don't know anything about, just to see what it's like. It won't kill you.
Right. So what are some Persian jewels in the city, or just Middle Eastern food jewels that our listenership should definitely try to visit and enjoy?
Absolutely. Well, currently, Westwood, everyone knows, is a little Tehran in the making, and then it kind of extends to the Wilshire Corridor, which is, by the way, if nobody knows, a very heavy Persian community. So, pretty much, you can find anything and everything to do with Iran right there. In terms of restaurants, we have a few really great restaurants there. The one that comes to mind, which I enjoy the most, is Daria, and there's just such a rich and flavorful cuisine that you can experience there, and just I would just encourage all, if you've never tried Middle Eastern food, if you don't know anything about it, now would be a good time to start. Really enhance your palate. There's a lot to be discovered.
And so, what are some dishes that we should try? Because I'm not always the most conversant in Middle Eastern food. You always help me by making some very, very wise choices.
Absolutely. Try things which are different. So there is, for example, if you like rice, there's over, I think, 15 or 20 different just rice dishes that we have in Persian cuisine. So, for example, you have a very interesting one, which has like barberries, which is a particular sour berry, and it adds such a different flavor to the rice. And it's called zereshk. So try a zereshk polo. Equally, there's another one which is green in color, and it's a particular herb that goes in, and that one is called bagali polo. So try these things. It's different. People just tend to go in and they don't really know, of course, but you try the different kebabs, try things with lentils. I guarantee you'll have the most exciting culinary experience.
And so in Farsi, thank you is merci.
Merci.
And then please is what?
خواهش میکنم.
Oh, God.
Or لطفاً.
Lotfan. I think that's easier to process. All right, so Winter, you have a blog. No shameless plugging, but let's plug anyway. You have a blog called Weekends with Winter, and so it is your passion to really guide people to experiential situations here in Los Angeles on the weekends, and I'm sure food is a primary destination for you. What are some of your recommendations, especially on the African American side of the equation?
So I'm talking about Leimert Park, and just to keep with that theme, I want to say that there is a great coffee shop called Lucy Florence that you should visit. They have spoken word there as well. There is a bookstore that is really cool. That's actually one of the longer standing businesses there. And that bookstore is called, let me get it right, Esselwan Bookstore. And they also have great art there. There's the World Stage where you can see performances, and they always have a First Fridays there as well. So you'll get local artists, artisans, and performers, and people peddling their wares. So if you want to support and just see what the community is like, head out there. And there's nothing wrong with going to some of the longer standing restaurants either. Harold and Bell's, is one. So just get out in the community and experience it, and don't be scared.
And I know Post and Bean is also a fantastic place.
Oh, yes.
And they are known for having very beautiful men and women on Sunday mornings for brunch.
Yes.
If you are into fine-looking brothers and sisters, I think you should definitely flock there on Sundays for brunch. It is truly a gathering of the young and the beautiful. And people that are very much family orientated. Yeah. There is a sense of community. There's a sense that they are the newer generation that's trying to really perpetuate the close-knit African American community that has always resided there, and it's really fascinating to see. I was blessed enough to go one day, and I vowed to go back. We can't also. We have to also give a shout out to Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles.
Absolutely.
Because let me tell you, Dan and I, at the first day of the year 2016, after having, spent the night out on the 31st, out and about with our friends, we decided to go there for New Year's Day fare. And I had the most amazing turkey chili. And it's not necessarily something that you would think about at Roscoe's.
Right.
Wow.
But it changed my life. On top of having fried chicken with mac and cheese and greens. And colored greens in a Southern style is not something that you can forsake ever. It is manna from heaven, and everybody has to have good collard greens. If you don't want to go to Chicken and Roscoe's, go to Pan's on the intersection of La Tijera and Centinela and La Cienega. They have some of the best greens I've ever had. We got a Canadian woman at work to become a collard greens convert, we call her.
Wow.
I know Winter knows who I'm talking about, and now she is just fascinated by collard greens and said that she would be a lifelong supporter.
God bless Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. What a
Right?
fine establishment.
And it's like every time I tell someone who's not familiar with Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles that there is a place that serves chicken and waffles, they're always like, what? Chicken and waffles? That's so weird. And I'm like, no, when you taste it, it's like, okay, it goes together. It's the perfect blend of sweet and savory. And
Yes.
since we're talking about chicken places, there is a place that I do want to promote because I recently went and I actually profiled it on my blog called Comfort LA. So Comfort LA is actually downtown LA. And I
Oh, wow.
really love this place because
Interesting.
it's a for every intents and purposes, it's a hole in the wall. There is really no inside. This man, I think he comes from the Midwest, but he came out here with a dream to feed people soul food, healthy soul food. So all
wow.
of his chicken, and all the food is fresh. There's no preservatives or additives. I mean, all that stuff people are into these days. It's great. So Comfort LA, look it up. Like I said, it's a hole in the wall, and you literally eat in the parking lot, but it is worth it.
Oh my God.
Fascinating.
And how LA is that whole concept?
You already, yeah.
And that's one thing I like about Los Angeles. I mean, New York is my favorite city, but and there's so many culinary bastions that emanate from the East Coast in New York. But I think LA, there is that sort of Western pioneering spirit that really dominates the culinary world here. When people take chances and they really explore. They explore the space, and because we have the blessing of gorgeous weather 300 plus days of the year, we can afford to be an outdoor eating kind of people,
Right,
yeah,
right.
And that's one thing that you have to try here in Los Angeles. So I'm gonna put on my sombrero right now, and I'm gonna be the Mexican guy that I know how to be. So here we go. If you like Mexican, then I have a couple of recommendations. So if you like sort of new American Mexican cuisine and you want 100 different types of tequila, you must go to Tortilla Republic in West Hollywood. They really are a mecca of tequila for the city, and the bartenders are sweet gentlemen, and they're very giving and awesome. And if you want to have a birthday there, it's very authentic with a West Hollywood wrapper, if you want to call it that way. Now, if you want to go to the east side of town, don't go to Olvera Street. I'm sorry, but
Why are you hating on Olvera
I have
Street?
so much contempt for Olvera Street. I feel like there is nothing authentic there. I'm sorry to say. I think it is very contrived. I think that the restaurants there, the food is nowhere near the caliber that it should be to represent Mexican cuisine. My folks, I've taken them there a couple of times, and they were like, "What is this place, and why is it still open?" So, and my parents were very harsh critics of food. I will tell this story. I took them to Frida in Beverly Hills. And so my mom and aunt, they ordered the mole, and mole is this almost like curry-like substance. And it's fascinatingly tasty. It's a blend of savory and sweet. It has chocolate. It's very chocolatey in its nature. And anyway, they ordered the mole, and they said out loud in a relatively small restaurant, "Oh, we could do far better than this at home."
I'm not surprised.
And then my other aunt ordered the tortilla soup, and she told my mother, "Don't order this; it's horrible." My dad was the only one that was humble enough to eat his carnitas, but it is what it is. I like Frida. There are purists out there that might think that Frida in both Beverly Hills and Glendale might not be the best representation, but there you have it. You also have to try guisados. Guisados, and the original location is on Sunset Boulevard. Be prepared to form a line, but their taquitos and their tacos and their tortas and all that kind of stuff is fascinating. You will want more and more and more. If you're on any kind of diet, please stay away, because you can't just have one. Further east in Montebello, there is a place called La Costa, the coast. And if you want really good seafood, but also just really good plain Mexican fare with not too much fanfare, not too much sizzle, that is a perfect destination. That is across the street from the Quiet Canyon Golf Course. So you have breathtaking views of the golf course, great cocktails, and staff that has been there for 20 plus years. So that's that. Also in La Cañada Flint Ridge. So in the foothill community, for those of us that are along the 210 freeway, on near Gold and Foothill, there's a place called Doña Maria. They serve the best red mole chicken sauce that you will ever have in your life. You'll want to have more because it's so good. And finally,
sounds formidable.
Finally, and I'm sorry I'm taking up so much time, but I am passionate about food. You must go to Joseph Centeno's restaurant in downtown Los Angeles on 4th, near the between Main Street and Spring Street. It's called Bar Ama, AMA, and you have to try their albondigas, which are Mexican meatballs. You also have to try their fajitas and their pork belly, all of which are just scrumptious, very well maintained and treated. And of course, we're going to put all of this up on Facebook and on Twitter, reminding you that on Twitter we are at Ethnic Correct and on Facebook Ethnically Correct. Winter, you've been wanting to talk to us about a place that you find near and dear to your heart, so tell us about it.
Yeah, after that diatribe on all the great Mexican places, I just thought of my favorite ratchet / fun place to go to.
Can we define ratchet?
So ratchet, I mean, there's so many definitions, but it's where you can just kind of like let go all of the pretension, where you can just be whatever you want to be,
So if you want to be a little boisterous.
Yeah.
That's a great word.
Yeah.
Yes,
If you want to be boisterous, if you want to be loud, if you want to be, not politically correct, not ethnically correct all the time.
Oh.
Be ratchet and go to the Cork. And that's on La Tierra in LA. It's the perfect place. Actually, it's great. We talked about in our previous episode LA and how, there are all these places with red tape to get into, and they're pretentious, and there's, full of people just trying to be seen. The Cork is the complete opposite. You're going to run into some really down-to-earth people. You can go there, watch a game, listen to some jazz music, and just have a good time. So yeah, go to the Cork.
Awesome. And I know, Tehu, that every time that your family comes into town, we go to different places, and you've made some recommendations. What are some things that we can do as ethnic people to better represent our businesses and places that we consider near and dear to our hearts? Strategy-wise, I think sometimes we don't know how to sell. If you compare Italians versus Spaniards, the Italians are always better sales people with their food. So we know more about prosciutto than we do about jamon serrano. But so, what are some strategies for us to really get people to the right places so that they could have an authentic experience?
I think, a lot of people, I've said this before, but there's always a fear of the unknown. And I just want to encourage, everyone to just try things. Things won't kill you. Really put yourself out of your comfort zone and take a chance and go to areas that you haven't been before. Try cuisines you haven't before. Be adventurous. Live a little. I think that's where it really comes from for the most part. Just people just don't try things. They just stick to the same things. And there is a certain comfort with the familiarity, but unless you come out of your comfort zone, you never get to experience anything different. So that would be my biggest advice. And that just goes for all the different cuisines, all the different, places to hang out. Really just pick something you haven't done before and give it a go.
Yeah, and I think, and if you need to take precautionary measures when you go into the adventurous unknown, do so. If you need to take antacids, if you need to take some Pepto with you, I mean, this is fine. This is sort of collateral that comes with delving into unfamiliar territory.
Don't forget the mint tea for digestion.
Right.
Yes, but this is part and parcel, right? And you can't be afraid and daunted by spice. You can't be afraid and daunted by, a little extra pepper, a little extra this, a little extra that. I think it's part and parcel of cuisine that is unlike what you have and from Monday through Friday. If you are the kind of person that normally has a turkey sandwich and chips or a burger and fries, going to a place where you have something completely different is going to change your life. Even if it's going to a place like Versailles, which serves Cuban food, have yourself a garlic infested chicken breast in its own juice and with some black beans and white rice and plantains. For the love of God, it will enrich your life. And this has been
hungry. Can we eat?
Yes. This has been a remarkable show from a variety of perspectives. I think you've gotten some insight into our personalities and how much we love each other and tease each other. Well, mostly everybody teases me, but that's fine. That's acceptable. I take that cross. I bear it humbly as much as possible. And we thank you so much for your listenership. Hopefully we've inspired you to tackle Los Angeles from an ethnic restaurant perspective. And those businesses that we talked about have not paid a single cent to be on this podcast. This is truly just our recommendation list. From Santa Monica, California, with our producer Dan Howes, for Winter White and Tehu Smythe, I'm Alex Venegas. Have a great day.